I should have been practicing vows, not memorizing evidence. 1 week before my wedding, I was sitting in my apartment with a USB drive that felt heavier than any ring box. Inside it was the answer to a question I hadn't wanted to ask. Who was the woman I was about to marry? Her name is Chloe. 27. Brilliant, quick-witted, the kind of person who could turn a dull dinner into a comedy show with one sarcastic remark. For 4 years she was my safe place, the person I thought I knew better than anyone. And then, 3 weeks before we were supposed to stand at the altar, she sat me down at our kitchen table. "I just need one thing from you," she said. "Not love, not promises. Privacy. No phones, no recordings. What happens at my bachelorette party dies there." The way she said it, like a commandment, should have set me running. Instead, I smiled and told her to have fun. Trust was supposed to be the foundation of marriage, right? I wanted to prove I had it. But when she repeated the request again and again, it stopped sounding like trust and started sounding like cover. That's when the thought took root: if I didn't look closer, I might be the only one keeping faith. I hired Hank, a private investigator who looked like retirement had been chasing him for a decade but never quite caught up. His eyes said he'd seen enough stories like mine to know how they usually ended. Could be nothing, he told me over black coffee. Could be the kind of nothing that saves you 30 years of regret. The choice gnawed at me. Was I betraying Chloe by doubting her, or protecting myself from the betrayal I already suspected? 7 days later, I had my answer. By the time Chloe hugged me at the rehearsal dinner, whispering about how excited she was to be my wife, the drive in my pocket was burning a hole straight through me. Around us, candles flickered on polished tables, families mingled like we were all already one. But I knew what was coming. And I knew this night would not end the way she imagined. This was not the week before forever. This was the countdown to impact. If you've ever sat across from someone you love and wondered if they're lying to your face, you know the silence that follows. It isn't peaceful. It hums, like an electric wire about to snap. That's what the week before the wedding felt like. Every smile rehearsed, every word tested for cracks. Chloe was radiant. That's what made it worse. She floated through the apartment humming songs, planning playlists, practicing writing her new last name on scraps of paper. She told me she dreamed of this day since she was little, and for a moment I almost believed her again. Almost. Then Astrid, her maid of honor, gave the game away. We were at a couple's game night, drinks flowing, laughter spilling over the table. Astrid, drunk and careless, raised her glass during a round of Never Have I Ever and said, "Never have I ever booked entertainment so wild it required a non-disclosure agreement." The room laughed. I laughed. But Chloe didn't. She froze, eyes darting, smile brittle. She mumbled something about her cousin's birthday and rushed Astrid out the door before dessert. That was the first time my chest truly tightened with the certainty that something was being built behind my back. I told myself not to overreact. That suspicion could ruin a good man as quickly as betrayal could. But Hank called me the next morning with a calmness that made my hands shake. "Son," he said, "you were right to trust your gut. I've got footage." I didn't ask for details over the phone. I couldn't. Part of me hoped he meant harmless things, karaoke, drinking games, the kind of evidence that would make me feel like a fool for doubting her. That hope lasted until I saw his face at the coffee shop, tired and apologetic, laptop already open. I didn't watch the full recording. I couldn't. Just enough to see the sash on Chloe's shoulder, the stranger's hands on her waist, the hotel door closing with her inside. Hank slid the USB toward me like it was a loaded weapon. "Whatever you do with this, do it knowing the truth." That night, Chloe curled against me on the couch, talking about flower arrangements and table settings. I nodded in all the right places. But inside, I wasn't listening to a bride. I was listening to the echo of her own voice on that recording, laughing at the man she claimed to love. The silence between us had become a lie we both were living in. And I knew it couldn't last. The closer we got to the wedding, the more the USB felt like contraband. I kept it in the inside pocket of my suit jacket, as though proximity to the truth might steady me. Instead, it poisoned every look, every kiss, every word. At the rehearsal dinner, Chloe's family filled the restaurant with warmth. Her mother clinked glasses. Her father hugged me like I was already his son. It should have been the happiest night of my life, yet all I could think was, you don't know what she's done. I excused myself to the restroom, locking the door behind me, pulling the drive out like it might whisper advice. Hank's words replayed, "Whatever you do with this, do it knowing the truth." I stared at my reflection, trying to picture a man who could marry Chloe tomorrow and pretend this never existed. The mirror gave me nothing back. When I returned, Chloe was on stage with Astrid, giving a playful speech about how she'd finally tamed me. Her laughter was dazzling, her eyes daring me to match her joy. I couldn't. My throat ached with secrets. Then her father tapped his glass. "Before we toast, I want to share something." He gestured for me to join him. My stomach lurched. He didn't know about the USB, did he? But he smiled, proud, oblivious. He wanted to talk about family, about trust. And in that moment, the twist revealed itself, not from Chloe, but from me. I realized I couldn't sit through another speech, another toast, another day pretending. The decision wasn't gradual. It hit like a car crash. I was going to show them. All of them. Tonight. My hand found the USB in my pocket. My heart thundered. Chloe caught my eye across the room, raising her glass, radiant and unsuspecting. For a flicker, I saw the woman I'd fallen for, the warmth, the humor, the spark. Then I remembered the hotel door slamming shut, the stranger's hands. I stood up, voice steady though my legs trembled. "There's something you all should see before tomorrow," I said. The room hushed. Candles flickered. Chloe's smile faltered. The countdown was over. Impact had arrived. The restaurant went silent in a way that felt alive, every eye fixed on me as if I'd just pulled a fire alarm. Chloe's glass froze midair, her lipstick smudged bright against the rim. "What are you doing?" she whispered, her voice sharp but too low for anyone else to catch. My fingers tightened around the USB. "Telling the truth," I said. Her smile reassembled itself like broken glass forced back together. "Not here. Not now. Please." She tried to laugh, tried to paint me as nervous, overwhelmed by wedding stress. The crowd chuckled politely, relieved by her attempt at levity. But I wasn't laughing. Her father frowned, sensing the fracture. "Son, what's this about?" I looked at him, then at the dozens of people gathered to celebrate love, not betrayal. My chest tightened. Was I cruel for even thinking about exposing her here, in front of everyone? Shouldn't this be private? Between just us? Then I remembered Astrid's smirk, Hank's weary sigh, the stranger's hands on Chloe's waist. The lie wasn't private. It had never been private. It was a performance, and everyone in this room had been cast in it without knowing. Chloe grabbed my wrist under the table, nails pressing crescent moons into my skin. "If you love me, don't do this," she hissed. For a moment, the boy who had once adored her, who had planned proposals and honeymoons, almost listened. I almost slipped the USB back into my pocket and swallowed the truth for the sake of peace. But then her eyes hardened, not pleading, not remorseful, but daring. Daring me to call her bluff. And that broke something in me I hadn't realized was still holding on. I stood taller. "If love means protecting lies, then I don't love you the way you think I do." Gasps cut through the room. Chloe's hand slipped away, trembling now. Astrid muttered something into her wine. Her father stepped forward, confusion giving way to suspicion. The tension coiled tighter with every second, like a rope ready to snap. Chloe's mask cracked, her voice shook. "Please. Let's just talk outside." But it was too late. The truth had already entered the room with us, and it wasn't leaving quietly. The stage was set. All that remained was to press play. I slid the USB across the table toward the restaurant manager, whose confused expression turned to alarm as he realized he was suddenly part of something he hadn't signed up for. Just plug it in, I said, my voice louder than I meant it to be. Everyone deserves to see this. Chloe's chair screeched backward. Don't you dare. She spat, her mask gone now, panic boiling to the surface. This is insane. He's lying, he's making things up. But the lights dimmed, the projector screen lowered, and the first frame appeared. Music blared in grainy audio, a sash across Chloe's chest, her laughter unmistakable even through the distortion. The room leaned forward, collective breath caught. Then came the stranger's hands, the hotel door, the stumble into shadows that needed no explanation. A single gasp broke the silence, her mother's. The sound of heartbreak compressed into one sharp intake of air. Chloe lunged for the laptop, but her father caught her wrist mid-stride. Enough. His voice carried the weight of a gavel. He turned toward me, then toward the screen, his face pale but steady. Is this real? I could barely breathe. I wish it wasn't. The video froze on Chloe's smile, frozen in betrayal. Around us, whispers fractured the room, friends averting their eyes, cousins muttering disbelief. Astrid's wine glass slipped from her hand, shattering across the tile. Chloe ripped her arm free, tears streaking down her cheeks. It was one night, it meant nothing, I was drunk, you don't understand. But her father silenced her with a look so sharp it felt like it cut the air itself. You've humiliated him. You've humiliated this family. He turned to the guests. There will be no wedding. The finality of it landed like a verdict. The applause of forks against glasses died, replaced by the scraping of chairs, the awkward shuffle of guests excusing themselves. Chloe reached for me, desperation raw in her voice. Please, we can fix this, I love you, I stepped back. For the first time all night, I felt light. Empty but free. No. You love yourself? And I'm done being your audience. Her sobs echoed against the walls as I walked out into the night air, the doors shutting behind me like the closing of a cell. For years I'd imagined this moment as the start of forever. Instead, it was the sound of chains breaking. The night after the rehearsal dinner, I sat alone in my apartment, the suit I'd planned to wear hanging like a ghost in the corner. My phone buzzed until dawn, calls from Chloe, from friends, from numbers I didn't recognize, but I let them all ring out. Silence was the only thing that didn't lie to me. Grief came in strange waves. I didn't just lose a fiancé. I lost the life I thought I was walking into. The house we'd looked at, the children she joked about naming, the years I believed were already written, all of it dissolved in a single evening. And yet beneath the wreckage, there was relief. For the first time in months, maybe years, I wasn't doubting myself. The truth had finally spoken louder than love. Chloe tried to rewrite the story in the days that followed. She sent long messages that shifted from begging to blaming, from promises to accusations. At first I read them all, searching for some fragment of sincerity. But eventually I stopped opening them. The words weren't for me, they were for her, desperate scripts to salvage a character she no longer got to play. Her father called once. His voice was low, broken. You didn't deserve any of this, he said. And then, after a pause, thank you for showing us who she really is. I didn't know how to answer, so I just said, take care of yourself. It was the closest I'd come to forgiveness. Weeks passed. I returned the ring to the jeweler, placed the USB in a drawer, and left it there, a relic, not a weapon. I stopped explaining myself to people, stopped trying to manage the whispers. People believe what they want. What mattered was that I no longer had to pretend. Sometimes, late at night, I'd think of the boy who once believed love was unbreakable. I'd mourn him, then let him go. Because the man left standing had learned something truer. Love isn't about trusting blindly. It's about building with someone who holds the weight with you, not against you. On the day the wedding was supposed to happen, I drove past the church but didn't stop. The doors were locked, the steps empty. I rolled down the window, let the wind fill the car, and whispered a single vow, not to anyone else, but to myself. Never again. And for the first time in a long while, the words felt holy.